Bam, we're live. I'm live. No Tony Blauer yet. I am lucky. I'm a lucky man. I don't know why I'm saying that, but I am. Good morning, y'all. Yash, Kyle. Yash, where are you from? I know I've asked you that before. Where are you listening from? Bruce Wayne, Kyle. Good morning, Mr. Blauer.
What's up, dude?
Mr. Blauer, good morning.
How are you, man?
Good.
Is it on the right camera?
I have like enormous delusions of grandeur and aspirations, but
Why?
I don't know, because it's fun. But on the other hand, if I just wake up and like take a shit, which is like almost every morning, that's like enough for me. I'm like, wow, today's a great day. I did it. I'm ready just to go on cruise control the rest of the day. Even though like I'm like, yeah, I want to do all this, but I'm kind of a simple man too. Yeah. Just the small things. The small thing. Do you like the small like a drawer full of clean underwear makes me feel like a king. Like I don't need an army.
Did you write this intro?
No, I just thought of it just now.
It's very stream of consciousness.
I have one of those.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, I like things like that too. Like I can, if I see something just done right, like a clean, like I've been training Jessie to, how to fold my underwear for like 20, 25 years. So recently she got it right. And I appreciate that. I see my underwear drawer is clean. And
you're like, yeah. Is Jessie your mistress? Who's that?
Jessie is, well, I have a wife named Jessie, but I do have a mistress named Jessie too.
Smooth. Well, ladies and gentlemen, take note of that. That's some CIA shit.
It's
name them the same name.
You call your wife's name out accidentally, and it's the mistress name or the mistress name. You're totally
safe.
But they'll never watch this show, so we're safe.
I was thinking of ways we were different this morning.
What's new, man? How are you?
I'm good.
I like this overhead camera angle you have.
You do?
Yeah.
It's just a camera sitting on a big monitor up there.
Yeah, but it's kind of like it makes you feel like some like famous radio host or something.
I am. I'm 5 years. The world is catching up. I read that in the Patrick Bet-David book. You have to like see yourself like 5 years ahead. Like you have to see yourself 5 years ahead of where you are. And then the rest of the world is kind of just catching up.
It was in the 90s. I cannot remember this guy's name, independent filmmaker. He said, if you take your space, the world must make place for you.
Oh,
is that heavy?
Oh,
if you take your place, the world must make space for you. I read that and it had a profound impact on me and some of the trials and tribulations of developing and growing my business.
Yeah, I really, 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 really like that. That's smoother than the way I said it.
Yeah. See yourself saying things smoother in the future.
Thank you. Good. Yes. Applicable everywhere. When I was in the shower this morning, as I was finishing up and thinking, okay, I'm going to be on the air in 25 minutes with Tony, I turn the water off and I look around and there's no towels hanging in the bathroom anywhere.
Right.
And I don't have my own towel. Like I always just use whatever towel's there. It's usually my kids' towels because I have 3 boys who shower in that bathroom too. So it's usually just one of their leftover. I was like, I bet you Tony has his own towel. I bet you he doesn't use like just some fucking towel that's just hanging around. I bet you have your own shower probably.
I have my own shower and my own towel, and I have actually a maiden who bathes me.
I don't believe that, but you do have your own bathroom, right? And I have my own sink.
Well, you have a bathroom, yeah.
I have a bathroom.
But just, dude, 5 years from now, you'll have your own bathroom.
Yeah, is that just part of having 5-year-olds? Like you just
no, that's Patrick David Bedard.
Oh, right.
Visualize the bathroom too. How do you like your Yeti cup?
Thank you. This is so I got the sponsor Paper Street Coffee, and this was the first cup he ever gave me to advertise the coffee.
I was in a Yeti store yesterday, but we can probably. I saw the Yeti sign on there, and I bought I should have used it, or I didn't. I brought this for your show.
It's perfect. Hey, these cups are so much fucking better than the other insulated cups, the Yetis. I have other insulated cups. Their shit actually is better.
Yeah.
Keeps everything colder and hotter. Do you have any of the shit knockoff cups?
Yeah. And I just bought a bunch yesterday, and I guess my maiden didn't wash them yet. So
you're going to regret. You bought the Yeti ones or the shit knockoff ones?
Yeti.
Oh, yeah. You're going to.
Yeah. So I interrupted you. Do you remember what you were saying?
Then when I'm done using that with one of their, I always do this too. I don't know where I was going with it. I only have a few notes here, only 2 pages. So I'm afraid if once I start using my notes, the show's coming to an end. It's
right.
So I'm just trying to bullshit for a
How long is this show?
If you're good, it can go over an hour. If I think you're ass.
Okay.
Fuck, I watched 2 of your podcasts that you did the other day.
Okay.
You've been on some podcasts with some lazy motherfuckers. They let you talk for an hour and a half. I realize I interrupt people because if I don't, I feel like I'm being lazy. Like I interrupt people to show you that I'm listening.
It's interesting, and I think it's a certain skill. And I mean, you may be interrupting because you're rude. I mean, you're just in generally you have no filter. So there's that. But yeah. A lot of, I mean, I don't know which ones you did, and we don't need to mention names and how old they are or how recent they are. I just did one with a couple of guys from the UK, and they really did their homework, and it was fun when there was questions and people are listening, and it was more of a conversation, and then you realize, oh, we recorded the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're 2.5 hours in and you're like, holy shit, we've been talking for 2.5 hours. It's magical. Yeah. Flow state. I have something I want to show you. Are you on a computer?
I am.
It's weird when I do podcasts with people on their phone. I almost find it rude, but I'm not big time enough to find it, or like they're in their car driving around.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I see where
you made a lot of time for me. I see. Yeah, I'm on the way to Starbucks. Let's do the podcast.
Yes. But if they're big time, you just got to suck it up and go.
Yeah.
So this isn't Tony Blauer's Instagram. I'm going to show you. It's a guy named Ray Cash
Care.
You say it the way you want.
Okay.
And
I'll use his name, but we can use your pronunciation. Go ahead.
And it looks like it's at a seminar.
Yeah.
And the video quality is not up to my standard, but there's a man standing here on his right who looks pretty buff, and he's going to come across the room where Tony is standing with Michael Chandler, the amazing Bellator and now UFC super stud.
So Cash is his middle name. It's Ray Care, and he's a former SEAL, retired SEAL.
And this is a new specialty course Tony is teaching how to be successful with the OnlyFans page. And I wanted to show you.
Wow.
Oh, so what is going on here?
It's a break at the end of one of the training sessions. We're at this event called Operation Black Site, and it was pretty cool event where people were taught. The attendees were taught CQB and shooting. We had Tim Kennedy teaching that. Me, Michael Chandler, were running combatives, or I was taking MMA concepts and applying it to the street. We also taught knife defense, gun defense, and mindset shit. And also, there was a big seminar, like a 3-day event.
And this is during one of the breaks?
Yeah, this might be on the last day at the end of some stuff, or I don't remember. It was obviously a break.
Is Mr. Care an attendee?
No. He's one of the instructors. One of the instructors there.
Okay, so you're already on the mat, but he decides to come on the mat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he was teaching another iteration.
And what is it's during a break, and he just wants to tussle with Michael a little bit just for shit and giggles.
He's like a lot of these guys, they want to feel stuff. So Ray was there doing the shooting stuff with Tim Kennedy, and so he came on and he wanted to feel what's it like to just pummel or lock up with Mike Chandler, like a world-class MMA guy, you know. So
he wanted to feel something.
He wanted to feel something, and a lot of guys, it's funny how a lot of guys will do that. They just it's like a magnet. They're not even thinking like you even have a chance. The guy's like a world class. You're gonna like, what are you gonna do? And then it's really awkward because I've seen this happen many times. It's awkward for this athlete because they're playing. They can't go hard. It's an interesting dynamic.
It's like if you're at someone's house and they got like a Ming Dynasty sword, or if they're you want to pick it up, or if like you go to Dave's house and like I've never touched a gun in my life, and he opens his, even though I own some, and he opens his safe, and I'm just like, I just want to touch all the guns and point them at everyone. And he's like, no. Right? It's kind of like that, right? Except this guy was a SEAL.
Yeah, this guy's a SEAL. Retired SEAL, and Mike, of course, is a current badass, and he just wanted to fuck around with him, you know.
Who's tougher, a SEAL or a white belt?
The SEAL at the zoo or the Navy SEAL?
I just like comparing apples and oranges. Is a SEAL equal to a blue belt, Mr. Blauer? Jesus. Okay, here we go. So that's Tony on the left. He's the teacher, dude. And then next to him is the famous MMA guy. And then on the right, kind of like slithering in, is the SEAL. And now Chandler knows something's up. He knows. He's right. He steps out. And are you feeling uncomfortable at this point, Tony? You're like, come on, no. Ray.
No, I mean, I've seen guys get fucked up, like not really bad, but I've seen guys. So a lot of it, like Mike Chandler's a really sweet, good human. There are other guys in boxing and martial arts and MMA that it's not that they're not sweet, but they'll go right away and they'll take you down and mount you and choke you out. And Mike's not like that. He's got a big smile on his face right now, and he's trying to dissuade Ray. He doesn't want to do this. He was also nursing he had a fight coming up, and he was rehabbing something, and he didn't want to fuck around with anybody as well. So there was like some real trepidation.
Boys are so cool. Have you ever seen women do what we're about to? Women just don't. I love these videos. I don't know if you've seen these videos on Instagram of like these macho guys, and like this big buff guy will just go over and put his head on another man's lap who's like sitting down eating his lunch in a park. And the man who sets his head on his lap is just keeps eating, or we'll feed him some. Just dudes are just cool. Like real dudes. You know what I mean? Like you ever seen two women do this? Like you're up there with like Kayla Harrison and another chick's like, here, let me feel you.
Right. It's an interesting thing. I don't know about the examples you gave, but we
just have a broad breadth. We like really cool dudes, confident cool dudes have a broad depth of intimacy from like hugging other dudes to just tussling with random dudes to like, we're just open.
Yeah. Yeah. Intimacy.
There's a camaraderie we have amongst our penises, our cock and balls that I just can't explain it, that I feel like the rest of the world wants to take away from us.
Well, that's happening for sure. Right. But I don't know. I'd like to sit in on a session with you and your therapist and just listen to you discuss this intimacy thing with men, because we're blurring a line here. I've never had another man put his head down on my lap while I continue eating my fucking tofu salad.
I just have I have a larger palate than you, Mr. Blauer.
Apparently.
I have a larger palate. And is Chandler telling him about his injury now? Like, hey, no.
He's going. I think so. Yeah, he's not saying it in those many words because it's you don't like to reveal the Achilles heel,
right? We just had a friend blow out his Achilles tendon. Did you hear about it?
No.
Yeah.
Who?
I shouldn't say on here. I don't know if he wants everyone to know. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Playing basketball.
Ooh.
Yeah. And you know what? He thought, just like everyone else, he thought that, you know, that when your Achilles tendon blows out, you think someone threw something at you or someone kicked you or tripped you. You always hear that story, right? Like a runner in baseball is like, oh, fuck, the ball hit me. And everyone's like, nope, your heel blew. Or like this guy thought someone kicked him in the back of the leg and tripped him.
Awful.
Yeah. Have you had that injury? Achilles tendon blowout?
No.
Sounds like a bad one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather lose a testicle. No.
So then you'd have none.
Okay, so someone's hat came off.
Yeah. I think Ray threw his hat off.
Okay, so that's
or Michael, I don't remember.
Getting serious.
No, I mean, dude, you're thinking about. I learned that in order.
And now he's got Ray's arm. Ray was going to try to grab his leg or something. Now Tony sees something either he likes or he doesn't like. So Tony's now about to insert.
Do you want to know what's going on in my mind there?
Please.
The
Ray's going to get snapped down on his face.
No, I actually got nervous because I didn't know if Ray was going to do something, and I didn't want Mike to get injured. And not that he can't protect himself,
right?
But I was like, should I like stop, like because he was like, no, come on, man, no, like, and then all of a sudden my heart started to race because there's about, I think 15 or 20 people watching on the left,
and that changes the energy, right?
Well, I knew what I was about to do. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know Ray that well. I mean, the guy's like a Navy SEAL, he's an instructor. We've known each other for years, but he calls me coach, and he's just, you know, because of my work in the combatives community, but we haven't hung out a lot yet at this point. So what I'm about to demo is a big leap in intimacy, as I like to
see.
Right.
Now, I want everyone to remember just a few moments ago, Tony Blauer said he wouldn't put his head on another man's lap. And I just want to let you know that, like, it's okay. That's what this show's about. It's about exploring, going into the unknown.
Therapy.
Yes. The other day, so my kids don't go to school because I don't want them to learn anything. And the other day I said a swear word at the house, and my kid goes, you know, if you swear, you're not going to go to heaven. I'm like, who told you that? And he's like, so-and-so. And it's some fucking 4-year-old kid in his jiu-jitsu class said, if you swear, you don't go to heaven. I look right at my kid and I go, I am God. He's like, that was done. That's it. He's like, so you go no matter what? I go, no matter what. He goes, wow.
That's awesome.
Done. All right, here we go.
Show you, look, get back in position. Get back in the exact same position.
So now Tony saw something he liked or didn't like, and you're here to give instruction, right? You told Michael Chandler to get back in position?
Yeah. I wanted Ray to get back into position where he had his head down and he was getting ready for a double leg or something.
And who's the guy filming over there?
Just one of the guys at the one of the attendees.
And this changes all the dynamics now, right? Like Ray doesn't want to get slammed on the ground. Chandler probably don't want to get slammed on the ground, right?
And he knows me. You can start to see some of the people moving around because they think I'm about to, like, a lot of these guys just went through some serious combatives, some gun disarm stuff with me, so that they think I'm about to show some cool move.
And Michael Chandler's commented, "Ha ha ha! I was scared to death."
Right.
Watch this. Go ahead. Stay in that position. Watch this.
No.
Hey, you totally disarmed the situation.
It's one of the ways. It's one of the ways to get out of certain moves is to ram your cock in somebody. I don't know.
I show this playing around with my good friend Tony Blauer, who I was rattling my head to try to figure out and remember how we met. And you think that maybe this is just fun or this is just guys, but here's the fucking point. The other day I saw a video of an ethics professor who was fired from Columbia University, Peter Boghossian, on campus at another university, and he was trying to talk to people about the definition of men and women. And a group of sociologists surrounded him in like a violent manner, saying that even the discussion of what's the difference between men and women is offensive. And triggers people. And here's grown men that don't even really fucking know each other who are quote unquote violent by nature that can joke around at the fucking highest fucking level. And if you didn't, if you thought for a second that Ray was offended by that or triggered by that, well, think twice. This fucking guy put it on his Instagram account to show Tony, another man, joking around about having anal with them. That people, yeah, Tony.
I was look how upset I am. I'm like, what? We're stopped. I was done.
It's such a better life we live, not being offended. We live such a better life. We are so happy. We're so free. That's what you call egoless. That's what you call respecting humanity. That's what you call respecting the magic. That's like what you call seeing. These are just people having connections. This is the way some men. This is the way we love on each other. I call Tony and hang up 5 times, and then text him, "Hey, I think something's wrong with your phone." When I know it's just me fucking with them. It's just it's me telling him I like him the same way I pulled a girl's hair in kindergarten. Leave us alone.
Right.
Go ahead, Tony. What were you gonna say?
No, it's a great rant. And here's an interesting thing is when somebody sent that to Ray. Obviously, I wasn't filming and he wasn't filming. Somebody, there were like a bunch of people filming, but society is so scared, right? So somebody sent it to him. Ray actually called me and said, "Hey, do you mind if I post that?"
Common courtesy, just common courtesy.
Sure. And, your digital fingerprint online. Do you mind if I post you're like this, alleged macho combatives guy? Like, you don't want to see this? Isn't good for you. I said, fuck, I would love you to post that. You're right. Like, so you bring up, that was a great rant, what you did there. It's so, I get fucking crazy with the shit going on. It drives, I can't consume it. It's just annoying.
None of it was even planned. I didn't know where any of it was going, my talk, but because I just liked the video. When I saw the video, I just wanted to show it, and I thought it would be fun to hear you talk about it. But it always just ends up there because that's kind of where I'm at in my headspace right now. I just want my boys to be free and have the space to play like we play.
But you said something that I think the most potent part of that is this is more fun. Like worrying about offending. And you've got to, and it's funny because we've known each other. I think we met 2006-ish or 7 when, through.
You were probably teaching one of the specialty, like that 1 hour specialty thing at the end of an L1 with Greg or something, like the Sunday morning. I was rattling my brain to try to remember how I met you.
It was early on in there, but I always. And it was one of the reasons I think that you and Jessie, not my mistress, my wife, hit it off. Is like, she's got no filter. You have no filter. You guys just, you see stuff and there's no moment like, should I say this? Should I ask this? And it's a wonderful curiosity. It's not, my brain moves too fast. I go, I'm not going to fucking say that. I'll try and figure this out. I'm going to Google this. I'm gonna, but no, it's fascinating. And the rant, listen back to it. Cause it was, you were in that flow state there, and it's, we have more fun. It's just because there's a freedom to improvise, a freedom to explore. And
what happens if I don't get offended? Everyone gets offended. So if I call Tony, let's say in 3 hours, I call Tony, this is mine and Tony's relationship. He would answer, I'm in a meeting, and then hang up. And some people would be offended by that. I'm flattered by that. Holy fuck. He took 2 seconds to tell me he's a meeting and hung up on me.
Right.
Like, cause that's what I would do to someone I really like. Someone who was like on the B team, I just hang up on. I don't even answer.
Right.
Yeah. It's just the story it's the story you tell yourself. And we live, man, with so many people who are so easily offended. I should have spotted it like 5 or 10 years ago when I saw these people. It was among the younger CrossFit athletes who were coming up, and I was in my 30s then and they were in their 20s, and I would see the relationships they have with their girlfriends and the fact that if you don't text someone back in 3 hours, they get mad. I was like, holy shit.
Interesting.
It's like, imagine having a leash on you.
I'm looking at your name at Sivan Matosian, and I'm looking at my name, Tony, and I just realized I've moved, and it must be because I'm on your show and it's that next level. I'm now like at Drake, Madonna, Prince, like no last name anymore. I'm just going by my first name from now on.
I'm going to see if I can fix that. Wow. Are you yeah, you're shadow banned too. Wow.
Yeah.
I knew you were, but it's always a shock.
I try to comment on a lot of your posts because I still want to fight your kid, and I can't comment on you.
What is your man, you don't even pop up in my auto populate. What is your Instagram?
At Tony Blauer, just one word.
Yeah, it won't even. Oh shit! And there's a Tony Blauer _ too. Is that you also?
It's a fake account selling crypto.
It's not even you.
No, they did a pretty good job, eh?
Yeah. Wow.
Lots of people reporting it. Instagram doesn't think there's a problem with it. They're not violating. They're not violating any of our terms. That was their answer. The guy's contacting people through WhatsApp trying to sell them crypto.
My wife's not going to like this story. I apologize. The other day, my wife comes into the room, and she goes, "Hey, I'm on with Amazon support. They said I just bought an iPhone 13." I go, "Oh, give me your phone. I'll fucking kill you if you call it." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "Amazon support's never going to call you."
Right.
She's like, "Holy shit." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "I get 5 of these a day and I never fall for one." I go, "Yeah, it only takes one."
Right.
I got one a couple years ago that I fell for. This is the Watsonville courthouse. We have a court date set for you. That's the courthouse. That's the courthouse. Just 20 miles from me. I'm like, no shit. And they're like, yeah, someone's pressing charges on you on a hit and run. And I was like, the lawyers here, and next thing I know, I'm calling the Watsonville courthouse. They're like, dude, you're being punked.
But that's subtle, like that one.
Yeah.
Because
and it got my heart going.
Why? Of course. Why? Like, why would you think that wasn't real? The other stuff, people should know they're getting fished. But what a bunch of, like, what type of person are you that that's your? I got this idea today. I'm going to start the scam business and fucking scam people. People suck, man.
When they call, I can tell they're in call centers and they're just one of 500. Like, holy shit, this is a fucking like legit operation.
Right.
In 1985, you started Blauer Tactical.
Crazy that I got a business name that had my same name, last name. That was so fortuitous.
15. That's 37 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take this somewhere, but feel free to stop me anywhere if you want to fill in details along the way. But sort of the premise of this of your system is to weaponizing the startle flinch. So we all have a startle flinch, and basically, how can you turn that into something to protect yourself or to get yourself out of a bad situation before it happens? Yeah.
Do you want me to jump in?
And connecting, and the classes are about connecting fear and aggression. That's the training. Yeah, feel free, jump in. Yes.
Well, just to put some context around, so your startle flinch is part of our survival reflex. Almost everyone has, unless there's some sort of like injury to your brain or something, and you don't relate to fear or the anticipation of danger or fear. You'll flinch, and it could be a spider, a snake, somebody behind. You're reading, and then suddenly you realize.
Wow! When you waved your hand like that, this word "fuck fear" appeared.
Yeah, I got the lighting.
Oh shit!
Jesse bought that for me.
Wow! Do you know that you can't? I thought that was something your computer was doing. You had subliminally put that because when you lean forward, it adjusts the exposure, so that vanishes.
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, certain days.
Genius.
Certain days of the certain time of the day, the lighting's really cool.
Yeah, that's a good gift. You when she gave you that, you weren't like, "That's too strong. Sorry, can't do that."
No, well, just having the word "fuck."
Yeah.
What's interesting is, so we've got.
I'll get you back on track, by the way, to startle flinch. But yeah, tell me about this fuck thing.
And my middle name is Tangent, so I got it too. You know that.
Tony Tangent Blauer.
Right. The so I turned from our whole No Fear program. We created a pretty fucking cool acronym for fuck fear, and it's face it, understand it, control it, know it. FUCK. You know what an acronym is, Savan, right?
I do. I do.
Okay, good. So fuck fear, face it, understand it, control it, know it. And when I launched the No Fear workshops several years ago, our first big gig was in New York City, and we had No Fear shirts, KNOW, not NO, KNOW, fear and fuck fear shirts. And someone had given me the idea. It was Jesse and she goes, let's print fuck fear shirts. And I was like, yeah. And then I'm like, we can't do that. I can't print fuck fear and like, you know, at the time I was like 57, 58, launching another part of the business. Yeah, it was just uncool. Jessie like has a necklace, you know, that says, you know, fuck you on her necklace. It's tiny. If you lean in, oh, I love your neck. Oh, what's it say? It says fuck you, right? And she's got, you've seen the shirts, you know her. She's the female equivalent of you in many ways. I said to her, we can't do this. She said something like, don't be a pussy. And print them. And I was like, oh fuck. We printed a bunch of them. These are like, I had like Wall Street people at this thing. And like people have been following my system for years. It wasn't just like knuckle. The fuck fear shirts sold out.
Wow.
People they want that like underneath. And they might say, yeah, I can't wear this out, or I'm not going to show my, you know, this, but I want to work out in it. I want to train in it.
I'll mow the yard in it, and I'll get braver and braver.
Right.
And yeah, to wear it. Yeah, I have shirts like that. Yeah.
But it was funny where she got this. I guess I had been acclimated a little bit from the you know, the fuck fear shirt. But when I got it, I was like, I loved it, but I was like, can I have that in my office? I went through that. It's a little bit of what you were talking about earlier, but not the censorship and the social justice bullshit. Is just our own censorship. What do I want? What's my messaging? You know, do we want little kids, you know, to see this? And I remember Nick, who's 31 now, which is insane to me, my boy. I remember when he was in a car seat of my car, we're driving, and he's maybe 5 or 6 years old, Savan. And some guy cuts me off. And before I can say anything, in the back, Nick goes, "You fucking asshole." So like here I am decades later worrying because I swear a lot. I actually had a seminar in the 80s, had a guy come up to me, and he was from Europe and heavy accent, and I can't do it because this is a much cuter story with the accent. But he goes, he says, you know, you swear an awful lot, you know, and I feel like I'm about to get reprimanded. I mean, like, you know, I don't even know how old I was in the 80s, whatever it was, you know, 28 years old. And I think I'm about to like, oh fuck, sorry, man. I'm sorry. Like, and he goes, he says, not a lot of people swear like you. I rather enjoy it. It was like this weird European you know, you like, because I don't just swear. If I say, listen, someone's trying to attack you, you fucking better defend yourself. You need to. It's a choiceless choice. But anyways.
Hey, that sign is really cool because when you do put your hand out like that, other hand, it pops up because it changes the exposure back there.
Yeah. It's when
it's cool.
Here, but I'm too far back.
Yesterday, I was skateboarding with my kids down Swift Street in Santa Cruz. They were skateboarding, I was walking, and we crossed in front of a driveway. And as we crossed in front of a driveway, a car came going the opposite direction and turned in front of my kids. And it wasn't that close, but I wouldn't have made the turn, right? I would have let the kids go. And then I could tell he was lost, and so I gave him kind of a pass, you know. And then another 200 feet down, I see, he went to the wrong driveway, and now he's turning in front of another driveway that's further down the road, and he turns in front of us again. And I'm with my wife, and instead of, you know, being a good wholesome, oh
Right.
and thanking the universe for not hurting my kids. I say, no, I fucking will kick that guy's fucking teeth out. And my fucking 5-year-old goes, whose? I'm like, oh, fuck.
It's interesting.
I wish I
But it's
wouldn't have said
interesting
it out
that
loud.
switch, right? That
Yeah.
bodyguard switch
Crazy.
as a parent.
Crazy. Like, hey, dude, you just turned twice with a big steal. Same thing too. If someone's walking in front of you on a crosswalk and they're totally in the clear, it's totally fine. Still, don't take your foot off the brake and start coming forward.
Right.
You're not gaining even a half a second, and you've put everyone who's in the crosswalk who has situational awareness at unease. I guess
Sure.
the thing is just most people have zero. Do you think this is a fair statement? Most people don't have situational awareness.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. But it's a blend of a complete lack of situational awareness, but also respect, ethics, selfishness. That like just like there's no like your statement, I wouldn't have made the turn, is a combination of situational awareness and courtesy and ethics. Like I hold doors open for people, and I remember I've had this talk a lot where like I'll open a door and someone just briskly walks by me, and I'm like, "You're welcome."
Yeah.
Right. But I realized this was kind of deep. For years, I would go like, "What the fuck is with people?" If somebody opens the door for me, I would always say thank you.
Yeah. Or you grab it so you can hold it for the next person. That's
Right.
also a thing. When there's 500 people getting off and someone's holding the door, you don't just walk by. It's your turn, motherfucker. Like, yeah.
Right. But then I realized I was holding the door because I was raised properly, and I felt good about it. And then I realized, and maybe I'm going down too deep an introspective rabbit hole, but I realized that when I would get angry if somebody didn't do it, then why was I holding the door? Was I holding the door because I was a good person, or was I doing it to get thanked?
There's a little bit of virtue signaling liberal in you, Tony. I have even more than
I find that very offensive and triggering.
I bet.
Oh shit! Oh my God, you're right.
Startle flinch. We all have it.
Right. So you startle.
Give me an example. Can you give me an example?
Well, like anytime you're surprised, if I jumped through the screen here and you thought that was real, your hands would fly up, and we've all done that. You're getting something out of a closet. In your case, it was when you came out of the closet, but this is
right.
I'm talking about like you're grabbing something on a shelf and a box falls. You don't like drop on the floor and punch or try to pull guard, or your hands come up to protect your head. Someone yells, "Look out!" You're at a golf course. You walk into a spider web and you didn't see it. You're like, ugh. Exactly. Never do that again. That was so lame. But
well, anyway. I was picturing when you said you're at a golf course. I was picturing like when I throw a frisbee at the beach and it goes astray. I always yell, "Heads up!" And I see people go like that. I mean, and you're right. They protect their head and make their body small.
Yeah. So what we figured out, this is like an experimental drill in the 80s, where the drill started triggering wicked flinches. This hypothesis was we train for self-defense, but we do it in a cooperative, consensual way where I go, so on, let's practice self-defense. You choke me. No, choke me with your right hand. Okay, I'll do this move. And it's this dance we do. But when I would experience violence, observe violence, or get feedback, I go like, nobody ever looks like a martial art when it's a real fight, particularly when it's a true surprise with a violent predator versus a consensual, what I call a douchebag fight, where we both get out of our car and we're like moving around going, fuck you, Yeah. So this drill in the 80s, we ended up calling it the sucker punch drill. It would just trigger the like flinches in male, female, the two genders who would train with
those are actually sexes, by the way.
What?
Yeah. Male and female are sexes. Genders is like imaginary shit.
Okay.
Like me and you were old school. We probably don't have gender.
back,
just have
back then in
sex.
the 80s, we didn't, that wasn't.
No, because we don't ever think about whether we're a man or a woman. When we just pull out our enormous schlongs when we pee, then we
Right.
just say, "Oh, I'm man."
Right. Well, speak for
Anyway.
yourself.
Right.
I mean,
Thank you. I will.
When you say enormous.
Thank you.
Schlong.
I will. I will.
Okay. The but anyways, this
Penis
girl,
is like the ears and the nose. It just keeps growing too. It's fucking. What a marvelous creature.
So I'm looking at the graphics here. It says unfiltered. What do you mean by unfiltered?
Oh, I never even noticed that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Will Brandstetter made this for me. I like it. Live on YouTube, dead on Spotify and Apple. Why does it say we're dead there?
I think that was he probably did this around the whole Joe Rogan cancel, where maybe people were like, Spotify's woke. I don't know. That's my guess.
California Hormones. If you go there and you use the code word Sevon, you get a free doctor's consultation and free blood work. And if you go to Paper Street Coffee, you get 10% off if you use the word Sevon. Thank you.
That was the coolest commercial break I've ever had on a show.
Only 2 companies brave enough to sponsor me.
Nice.
Biggest podcast in the space by far, no second place, and yet everyone else got the whoopee and the noble and the. Actually, you know what I think? I think those podcasts just get like a pair of shoes,
Maybe.
and those shoes don't fit my dwarf feet anyway. I have wide feet.
Me too.
So through the studies, the men and women, both sexes, were being startled the same way.
So start of flinch. So a couple of neat things happened in the 80s, or a bunch of neat things in terms of like kind of my incubator years. And so start of flinch, and I was like, why would we'd been doing Wing Chun, boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all this stuff. Why would, if I set up the hypothesis was we were starting self-defense from the physical, knowing what was happening. So there was no element of surprise. There was no fear other than performance anxiety. Am I going to do well in this drill? I didn't have to figure out anything. I didn't have to solve a problem. I showed up for class. Why would train people where I was highly trained. If somebody threw a punch at me at this close range in this scenario, there were times when I'd go, whoa, shit, where did that come from? And I was fascinated with the fact that all of my muscle memory, which doesn't exist, the neural patterns that I've been developing through studying martial arts were completely hijacked and bypassed. And it was fascinating to me. And I explain it a little bit more lucidly or elegantly now, but back then I was like, what the fuck's that? Right? And we had VHS cameras. Remember the old RCA VHS? You'd stick that, people like half your audience have to Google VHS, but VHS, and I would watch it back and I'd go, because I was desperately trying to do some Wing Chun move or some parry or some box, and it just wasn't happening. And slowly I kind of really leaned into it and then figured out, and now we have cool language, like we're going to weaponize your startle flinch. Your body, when there's a sudden violent stimulus, your flinch response deploys. Your executive function's hijacked. Your cognitive brain can't access its complex motor skills. And there's micro flinches as your hands, look out, frisbee at the beach. If you see a bomb go off, if you see gunfire go off, you see people, if it's in close proximity, you'll always see that. Even when people are getting the shit kicked out of them and they're on the ground, they're trying to cover. So your body understands at a primal level, cover your head, protect your head. So we figured out a bunch of really cool drills on how to engage the cross extensor chain and through cueing a finger splayed outside 90, it's almost like a human airbag, Savant, where if I flinch, I got all this kinetic energy. I inhale, I'm like, whoa, shit. But if you can attach an intellectual understanding of what the neuron's trying to do, what the brain science behind it. So we're getting neurobiology to work for us, because flinching is non-conscious. You flinch hundreds of times in your life, if not thousands
a day.
But if you think about it, in all seriousness, if you think about every time you flinched,
yeah,
you never thought about flinching. There was never a fuck, that's coming at me really fast, I should cover my head right now.
Right. It's
Right.
not the definition of the word flinch.
Right? If you touch
Yeah.
something hot or electrical and you go and you're here and you go, fuck, and your hand kicks off of that, there was never a moment where we went like, I need to get off this now. I need to move. So flinching is this really cool, non-conscious movement that's deployed by your reactive brain. And was it say there? Make a quick nervous movement as an instinctive reaction to fear, pain, or surprise. Oh, that's cool. I've never even looked up the definition for flinch after all these decades. So anyways, we figured out how to weaponize that through a whole bunch of really cool Pavlovian style drills. So, but what we're doing is we're not teaching people to flinch. This is a big misunderstanding. A lot of, especially in the martial arts community, people go, why the fuck would you want to flinch? You don't want to flinch, but because it's non-conscious and it bypasses executive function, you don't ever go, wow, that punch is so fast, I should flinch now.
Like when you eat food, it automatically digests. Just to put it in perspective, you're not like, oh, I'm going to digest some food right now.
Right.
Flinching is the exact same thing. It's automated.
Yes.
It's just most of the shit that's automated is on the inside, and this motherfucker's on the outside. Your heartbeat, your thoughts, your digestion process, your breathing, these are automated, but we don't really see those. But this one's on the outside.
Yeah.
And it's completely automated.
And an interesting thing also,
but you could but what you're saying is you could reprogram it with some detail.
Well, what you do is think yin and yang. What we're doing is we're getting our cognitive brain to embrace what our reactive brain is going to do during certain high stress situations. And so what we're doing is we're improving our mind speed in the conversion of the flinch. So there's a story I often tell of,
what does that in simple words, does that mean get used to it?
No. Well, no.
So let me, I throw a tennis ball at my kid really slow, really hard, and it fucking hits him and he cries.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, sorry. So then I'm like, okay, I better be chill. So then I start by just handing it to him. And then 20 minutes later, we've built up and I'm throwing it to him harder than I was the one that made him cry 20 minutes earlier. And now he's conditioned for it. Is it like that?
So no, so that's adaptation. And that's like the emotional, psychological, and it's just making him a better athlete. But there will be times where if you say to him, hey, what's that? And he goes, what? And you whip it at him and it hits him in his eye or his ear or whatever. Because there's a process called stress inoculation, and it's a big thing. So we do a lot of scenarios where you get in your first rep, you're like, what the fuck's going on? Your second rep, you're like, okay, am I good enough to handle what's going on? Your third rep, and when I say 1, 2, 3, I mean, it might be 30, it might be a month or a year, depending on what you're doing. But your body adapts and you stress inoculate to it. And what you did with your kid was that Pavlovian type conditioning and a stress inoculation. But think back to what the story I told you, like in the 80s with self-defense. If you don't tell your kid this is a training exercise, so you get good at charging the net and slamming the ball down somebody's face or other reflex or whatever. If you never explain it and put it in context and you don't do the drills, you create the PTSD of getting hit by a tennis ball, right? So he cries, now he doesn't cry. But you're starting the drill going, are you ready now? And now you're whipping it. So he's getting used to, I've agreed to do this, what we call ACP, awareness, consent, preparation. If I've got awareness and I consent to the drill, I'm prepared. I still may fuck up, but I'm as prepared as I can be in the moment. So a lot of neuroscience, a lot of neurobiology underpinning the whole system. So you asked an interesting question. You're not getting used to the flinch. Well, and maybe this is just semantics. You're understanding why you flinched and what you need to do immediately. So when bad shit happens, most people go into some sort of state of denial. A big fear spike will always create doubt. Doubt will always create hesitation. Hesitation creates procrastination. That domino effect there doesn't change for anybody, but people who are trained, like, so for example, you're not very good at weapon handling, right? You got guns, but you don't shoot a lot. Where Dave is great. Right.
Yeah.
Not only is he former military, he's an active competitive shooter.
Right.
So if you're at the range, have you ever gone shooting with him?
No. Yeah. Once, twice.
Okay. You probably just because of the quality of his weapon systems, but could be, shitty grip. Did you ever have a gun jam?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
It's like Disneyland at his house with guns. Everything's perfect and
right. No,
yeah.
I know. But
You've had a gun jam?
Well, you can get a double feed or stovepipe, but a lot of it is not. It's not because of his bullets or his ammo. If you got a shitty grip and you're not holding it, the weapon system can't cycle properly. But a new person getting a gun jam will go like this and go. If they're at the range, the gun jams, and they'll go, "Oh my God, what do I do? Like my gun. Look at this. There's a part of a brass casing sticking up here, or look, the slide isn't closed." And someone will come over and they'll go, and they'll do some sort of like malfunction clear. And they'll go, well, you got to fix your grip and whatever. Where Dave, if his gun jams, he knows that without even looking at it. He can tell by the sound or the feel, and he'll immediately go into some sort of click. So what the jam is, the metaphor here is the jam is the flinch. You don't know and control what's going to happen. How fast you clear your fear, convert the flinch, gets you back in the fight. So I come at you, you don't know anything about startle flinch and conversion, and I go, wow, and I attack you, and you go, fuck, and you're pushing away danger, and you're covering, and where somebody who's trained in the system, as they're micro flinching, as the body, as they're so sentient and so the nuances of physiology and the kinesiology, the biomechanics, you know what this feels like. We've now created this Pavlovian type relationship where the cognitive brain goes, I know what's happening. You need to face the enemy. You need to go finger splayed outside 90. You need to drive. And it's like deploying an organic airbag. You go to hit me and my hands come up and create this kind of like push away danger effect. Now here, I'm going to tell you two really cool stories. So I'm experimenting with this and I'm teaching it every day, and I'm dialing in. And I get up one night, middle of the night, to go get some water, and our kitchen's not in our bedroom. I don't know if that's the same for you guys. So I'm walking. Yeah. So I'm walking out of the bedroom, and my daughter Madison, who's 25 now, she's like 7 years old, and you've met Maddie. She's a small human. So at 7, she's like this big, like weighs up, like, friggin' whatever, a pound. She's tiny. She's got this like clear white porcelain like skin, and she's got crazy hair. She doesn't blow her hair. It's wild and crazy, like Roger Daltrey, back in the days. She got up at the same time. She gets up to come sneak into bed with mom and dad. She's like 7 years old. I'm walking through my doorway, rubbing my eyes, adjusting to the light to go to the kitchen. And our hallway's got carpet in it. As she walks, I don't hear her. She's super small and light. And as I come out of my door and the light's coming in from the hallway window,
you drop kicked her. You
know those fucking scary porcelain dolls in horror movies?
Yes.
That's what she looks like through the shadow. Like I look through my peripheral vision, and her hair's like this. So I see a combination witch porcelain doll. And I'm walking through and I go like this. I'm like, oh, fuck, like micro flinch as soon as I see her. But as soon as I flinch, my hands go, like if you're the camera, I'm walking out going, and my hands go out. And she goes, hi, Dad, and walks by me and doesn't even react to it. But what's important about this is I'm the guy that developed the system around weaponizing the start of flinch and have done all the research on it and was fully into it and teaching it as a complex motor skill, as a conversion, primal gross motor complex. Here's how you do this. And I still flinched. But what happened as soon as my body started to flinch, the training kicked in and I hit the stance, meaning had she been an attacker, I was primed and locked and loaded. That's the point of the training. It's not that we want to flinch, but you have no choice but to flinch. It was crazy. And there was another story I was going to tell you that was kind of cool, but I completely forgot what it was.
Are your kids still at home with you?
Nick lives up in LA, and my 2 girls are still here.
Yeah, I was in and out till I was 34. In and out of the house. How old were you when you moved out?
I think 19, 20.
Were you excited to move out?
Excited and scared. You know.
And you were in Canada.
Yeah.
And you come straight to the United States?
No. I only moved to here in 2008 to Virginia Beach.
Oh, that's right.
Right? Remember my place in Virginia?
Yes.
That was badass.
Yeah, I actually never saw the place. I just saw pictures of it, and I just remember it being badass. Hey, how this is a little off subject. How did you meet Greg? Greg Glassman.
This is actually a cool story. So I'm teaching at an event called Trexpo. It's a Tactile Response Expo.
What year?
2005.
Okay.
They had an event on the East Coast and West Coast. They would call it Trexpo East, Trexpo West. Imagine that. And so I'm teaching at it, and I'm saying things in my lectures. I go, listen, like, you're all badasses. I'm honored and flattered to be here to teach. It's like SWAT military guys. And but let me tell you this: if a stimulus gets introduced too quickly, your body will start a flinch. That'll affect, if you're shooting somebody and you shoot and you flinch, you're going to shoot high. The weapon's going to rise because your hands are going to come up. And there's all forensics evidence. I'm doing this whole thing. I said, and I say things like this. I go, you don't know when your next fight is going to be. You don't know if you're going to be attacked by one person or two person. You don't know how long it's going to go. So you can't have a favorite move. You need to flow. You can't, your best move might trigger their best counter, and you're fucked. So you need to be really good at a bunch of things, because the bad guy controls the fight. You don't know what's going to come at you, and you can't. And this sounds like a lot like Greg's talk on specialists, right? And constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity, where I would say things like, and I would say it way less elegantly than Greg, but the messaging was the same of you've got to be prepared for all fights are dangerous. The most dangerous fight is the ambush. The ambush will trigger a neurobiological survival reflex that'll bypass your complex motor skills. You need to be able to handle these angles and these movements. If you don't weather the ambush, you can't get to your complex motor skills. And someone comes up to me after and says, and I'm like cutting my teeth in at this point. It's 2004, 2005. And imagine, Savon, you're in a band and you're doing cover tunes, but you've got some original shit that you start playing, and someone comes up to you and they go, man, like, you guys are really tight. You guys are really good. You remind me a lot of, and then they name 3 other bands. Like, when you're trying to make it, nobody wants to hear, hey, that was great. That date was great. You remind me of my ex. You don't.
Yeah. Yes. I know. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So this guy comes up to me and he goes, man, that lecture was great. You remind me a lot of Greg Glassman. And I go, who's Greg Glassman? And he goes, oh, he's the founder of CrossFit. I said, what the fuck is CrossFit? What a shit name. Like, CrossFit. I literally say this to the guy. And he goes, oh, it's like a fitness thing. I go, well, okay, whatever. Thanks. Hey, thanks for the compliment, man. No, like, I don't mean it in a bad way. Like, the guy, like, just a lot of this whole surprise and be ready. And I said, okay, cool. Thank you. I leave, and I'm teaching at Trexpo East now. And somebody there says to me, you remind me of Glassman.
That's crazy too. Although I know the communities are really tight. CrossFit was really small then, less than 100 gyms.
But remember,
and the internet was nothing. So I mean, these have to be people running in the same circles.
Well, you remember a lot of the initial seeds that got CrossFit going was work within military groups, Secret Service.
Okay. The 3-letter organizations.
Yeah. And so I'm doing this. And then this is the best. This is actually about a 10-minute story, but it's worth it, I think.
It's very worth it.
So I hear it there, and I'm down at Fort Bragg on one of my gigs, and I've got assistants, he's a SWAT team leader from a North Carolina event. I'm at Fort Bragg, and I'm at like this is the big boys at Fort Bragg, and I go in there, and I'm walking through, and I'm working with this particular unit, and I'm being vague for obvious reasons, and they're not a unit, but they're a unit, and I'm walking through the gym, and we've got training machine guns, my high gear suits. We're about to go do some scenarios, and I walk into the gym, and there's a whiteboard there, and it says WOD. Remember, it's 2005. It says WOD, AMRAP, and then it's 25. What's Cindy?
15, 10, 5, or 5, 10, 15.
Squats, pull-ups, push-ups.
Yes, sir.
Right. Doesn't say Cindy, but it says 15, 10, 5. Pull-ups. And as I walk by, I go, you guys, this is like the fucking most badass guys in the army, right? And I'm like, I go, you guys having trouble doing like 15 pull-ups? And then what is it like, and the guy goes, what? I go, he goes, no, I go, what's WOD? WOD? You going to blow your wad on this? What is this? He goes, oh, it's the workout of the day. I go, and it says 20 AMRAP, right? And I go, like you guys, like this, your workout is 15 of these. And he says, no, you do it for 20 minutes. I go, what's AMRAP? He says, as many rounds as possible. I go, and like any CrossFit workout on a whiteboard, until you really understand programming in the beginning, like you go, wow, this looks like it's gonna be fun. And then as you begin to understand what's going on, you go, oh fuck, I wonder if I'm gonna survive this, right?
Right. I wonder where the wheels come off the bus.
Right.
Here, and I regret starting this.
So, but I don't know anything, right? And I go, I'm making fun of this. And he goes, no, you do it for like 20 minutes and it gets pretty fucking gnarly. And I go, what the fuck is this? He goes, this is the stuff CrossFit we're testing out, we're doing. I go, CrossFit, fucking CrossFit again. This guy Glassman, this is now the third time, like in a month and a half.
Yeah.
So we do.
You guys were working off the same grant money,
I guess. But the guy John, who was the SWAT guy with me, he goes back. And a month later, like I'm checking in, he's one of our trainers at the time, and we're checking in. He goes, "Hey, did you ever check out CrossFit?" So, being the open-minded, insatiable, learning, curious human I am, I go, "No, I didn't fucking check out CrossFit. I'm not going to check it out." He goes, "Well, we started doing it with the SWAT team, and like we're a month in, and we are stronger and faster than we've ever been. Everyone loves it. It's unreal." And I'm like, wow, one of my team just
got converted. Right.
So I'm on the website now, and I start lurking. Now I'm one of the most ripped off self-defense instructors in the world. Always have been. And so I'm on the website.
Is that good or is that bad?
That's bad. Well,
it is bad.
It's bad if you're trying to grow your brand. Remember, I grew it as the internet was like now anybody for $10 can look like they've been around forever and they've got this big business.
Right.
It was bad for me in that it was just appropriation without citation or accreditation. I didn't care if people were using it, but they would pretend they came up with it,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of innovative stuff that we did in there, and it would have been nice. Like you don't start your show and go, I always like to say that to thine own self be true. And yeah, Shakespeare. No, I came up with it. Like, no, just fucking honor the source.
Right. Right.
And so I started lurking on the website, and I'm like, I'm seeing, like, it was back in the days, man, 500, 600, 700 comments. Remember the old shitty website?
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, they're printing articles, they're showing, the GIFs hadn't even been on there. It was just a picture explanation. But they're giving away the programming. And I was fascinated as a CEO of a company going, how is this company growing? And I'm watching the community go, this guy's ripping you guys off, and this guy's like they're doing this, and I'm like, I'm fascinated with it, and I watch it for about a month, and then I go, holy shit, Trexpo East, Trexpo West, Fort Bragg. I'm gonna call this guy. So I find a message, I find an email, and I email,
Do you remember what it said on the website back then too? Like basically like, here's our email. Don't fucking email us. Everything you need to know about us is on the website. Do you remember that shit under there?
I don't offhand, but I didn't care if it did say that.
Right. Neither did I. I contacted him anyway, but I just remember how it's just like,
leave us alone.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Sevon is behaving because he's afraid to get choked out. Only partially true.
Interesting. I like it. It's really her. And are we live? Oh, we are live. That's fantastic.
We are live.
I dig that.
Hey, I watched a commercial the other day. I was watching the UFC, and there's a commercial to exterminate bugs. And in the commercial, there's a spider that falls out of the TV. And every time it did that, I had a little bit. I felt I didn't, not that big, but inside I felt it. It was such a great graphic. It was so smart.
That's an interesting thing, because when you were talking about the startle flinch earlier,
yeah,
and how you'd see like anytime you see that, you see the hands come up. The flinching is a micro contraction, and so if your ass gets tighter and you hold your breath, I call that a flinch too, right? So if you walk into a room and something horrible has happened already, and you go, holy fuck, and you stop. So anything that derails your tactical imperative is a flinch. It just popped in my head when you talked about, like, flinching doesn't always look like hands up, cover your head.
By the way, you said something that was fucking brilliant here, and we'll get back on track about meeting Greg. Stimulus introduced too quickly.
Yes.
That's a great definition. That's a great explanation of what a flinch is.
Dude,
when stimulus is introduced too quickly.
From 1988. That line is from 1988. My first go at a PowerPoint, because I started having like cops and teams contacting us, and they would say, "Hey, could you send a POI?" And I go, like, "What's a POI?" And I'd like, the program of instruction. Could you, like, an outline, and what are the deliverables? And I'm like, what? And I had to write up shit. And the hypothesis was if you're a boxer, you don't really see boxers flinch the way we talk about like this, because of the ACP, awareness, consent, preparation. But if the boxer was eating a burger or signing an autograph and somebody punched them, their hands would react. I've got this amazing, maybe I can pull it up. Oh, I'm gonna try and pull this up and share this.
You can text me a link and I can pull it up too. Hey, Tony. So there's this thing that I've done with my life ever since I had my awakening in my 20s. Yeah. To every opportunity that something happens that other people would react to, I don't. So if I'm standing in line at the DMV and my cell phone slips out of my hands and it's my old Nokia and all the pieces go flying everywhere, most people be like, "Oh my God," or "Oh," and I just act cool. I'll just be like, look at my wrist, wipe my hand, maybe pick up a couple pieces. Or if like a bird shits on me and like I'm somewhere eating for dinner, like I've trained myself to not react. To be just fucking the coolest dude ever, to be the crazier the shit happens, to be present in the situation.
Yeah.
Just to be like, hey, this is an opportunity for me to be cool.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to be like everyone else. I don't want to be like, some guy stole my sister's camera one time, and I chased him down, and he was like clearly a homeless guy, and he was all fucked up, and everyone thought it was gonna be like this fight, and instead I'm like, hey dude, give the camera back, and then I just sat there and talked to him for 5 or 10 minutes and explained to him why it's not cool. Got on the level with him. Okay, sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. I was getting I was trying to find this photo of Ali flinching, and I can't right now. God damn it! Why isn't it here? I got this video of Ali on a talk show where, and this is a great example, where this comedian throws a jab at Ali in the middle of a story, and Ali's leaning in, listening to the story, and this guy goes, and he goes, and then Muhammad. And Ali goes, yeah, He goes whack, and he throws a punch right at him, Savan. And Ali literally goes like this, like hands up, mouth open.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah. I'll find the picture and
I just looked for. Oh, so okay, because I typed in Muhammad Ali flinch and I didn't get that.
The kind of annoying that I don't have it here, because I've got it.
Oh, here's another one. Fantastic fighter, champion of civil rights. Wasn't perfect in this clip. He is throwing. Let's see if I found it.
How do I get this? Anyways, let me finish the Greg story. It's going on too long, but it's so cool. I emailed.
Oh, it's a great story. Don't worry.
I emailed Greg. Greg, hey, it seems we've got a lot of mutual friends in the industry. I got a bunch of questions for you, and I don't know what I was thinking, but there was something that said I got to meet this guy, and I email him, no answer. And I'm like the type of guy, you know me, how responsive I am. I'm like that person you made fun of with the text. Like I get an email,
You're high maintenance. You're a high maintenance friend.
But I'm like,
but
hey,
you're really not.
Well, we have an SOP like in my company. If we're too busy to answer, like our inside people, I go, you have a canned response that says, hey, we're super busy. Sorry, we can't answer you right now, but we'll get back to you. I go, you're never too busy to let somebody know, a client, like we're really big on customer service and caring about people. And
I hate canned responses.
Well, when I say canned response, meaning I hate them too, but there's like, this is the template. And then you would go, dear Savan, we're in the middle,
right.
Opening sentence, but this is our like, hey, we're too busy, please give us 48 hours or a week or whatever it is. So I email Greg, no answer. A couple of days go by. I email him again. Hey, I don't know if you missed this, but because I'm used to people like CEO to CEO fucking answer me. I think I sent 6 emails over like a few weeks, and I'm getting pissed. So my last email was something to the effect of, hey, I'm beginning to feel like a stalker and an asshole. If you're not interested in talking to me, just answer me, say, hey, not interested. I might have even wrote, go fuck yourself or something like, not to me, but like, tell me to fuck off. Like just,
right.
He doesn't answer that. And I'm driving to go teach. I was teaching a seminar in Las Vegas, and the phone rings, and I'd left my phone number obviously in the email. The phone rings, and it's Greg, but I don't know it. Like he's not in my
Rolodex,
right? So phone rings. I go, yeah, hello. He goes, T.
Oh,
right?
awesome.
Right. He calls me T right away. We've never spoken. T.
Yeah.
And that's what he calls me. I go, yeah, hi, who is this? He goes, Greg Glassman. I'm like, no shit. He goes, what's up? It was just like, literally just starts talking like we've been friends for 20 years and we're just catching up. And he says, yeah, he doesn't even say like, sorry, I didn't answer those 6 emails, or just starts talking. And he goes, listen, and this is the craziest thing. He goes, I've been hearing about you too from a bunch of his friends. I'm not gonna mention names on here because I think some of them are still active duty and stuff like that, but from so and so and so and so, and we got to get together. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he says, listen, why don't you come to Santa Cruz and do a CrossFit seminar? And I was like, oh, I'd love to. So he invited Jesse, and I went up there, and I think it was the last gig that he taught at.
Oh, then I'm sure I met you there. That was probably 2006 or 7.
Yeah, Dave was still in.
Yes.
Nicole
was that in Scott?
there.
Was that at the Scotts Valley gym, or was that his gym?
That was
Scotts Valley gym.
Scotts Valley, and there was
a boxing ring in there or something too.
No. Well, no? maybe was there a little ring? No, it was.
Whose gym was that? Was that Brendan Gillian's gym?
No, it was. It was the HQ gym. It was the on Soquel.
Okay.
It was the last gig. Nicole was there. Budding, Bergner, Hackelman came by and talked. It was like it was a big freaking deal. Do
you remember if Hackelman was there with Glover when Glover was just a kid? Remember he would bring Glover around? Okay.
I don't remember that, but it was pretty badass. And so me, Jess, Greg, Lauren, we went out to dinner, And he described to me everything CrossFit. We went to dinner. He said it's going to grow into this massive brand. Like he described everything. We were at, what's that? There was that one really good restaurant.
Cafe Cruz.
Yeah. So good. We ate there. And
it's the only fucking restaurant.
It's the only restaurant
in town.
there, right?
I mean, if only, you know, fancy
Really
schmancy, even though it's not that
good.
schmancy. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been close ever since that.
You know, I was, as you were telling the story, I was thinking, I'm very close to both Dave and Greg, and I don't know if there's another person who is besides you.
Interesting.
I can't think of one.
Weird,
I can't think of one. I mean, I think that when we got off the show, that if we're the two people, if we called Dave or Greg, they would pick up immediately. And you ended up living, you and Dave and Greg ended up living pretty close to each other in San Diego. And then when I lived with Greg during those years, that's when we started, our friendship really grew.
Yeah. That was crazy when everyone, and
that was in San Diego, California. Everyone, for those of you who don't know where that is, it's just north of where the border where Mexico and the United States meet, and it's a great town. I guess it's California's answer to Miami. It's a really, really cool place. You're still down there, right?
Yeah.
North
County, Encinitas.
If there's one place you could live anywhere and raise a family, it might be anywhere on planet Earth. It might be there. And the reason why is it has fantastic weather, and then everything is there. So if you wanted the world's greatest violin teacher for your kids, you could find it. If you wanted the world's greatest baseball coach, you could find it. And by world's greatest, I mean, I know that there's 1,000 of the world's greatest, but it has everything down there. Jiu-jitsu, physics, biology. I mean, the schools, it's just a beautiful, North County, San Diego is just, it's like almost perfect.
It's pretty amazing here. And it's weird with when the last couple of years, with all the craziness going on, you know, there are a couple of times like me being, you know, very involved in the personal, professional security and all of that, you start thinking, fuck, like this is a shit show. And a lot of my friends are moving Texas, Montana, you know, like places,
Florida,
you know,
Tennessee.
Yeah. And I said to Jess, I said, hey, do you want to move? You know, she goes, we're not fucking moving. I'm like, okay. You know, hopefully the pendulum will swing because it is, you know, I wanted my whole life, some background on that is growing up in Canada, the East Coast. All I wanted to do was live in California. I don't know why. I grew up, you know, just, you know, through the 60s watching every TV show, Batman and Robin, the Wild Wild West, all this stuff. And so, you know, back in the days, you know, kids didn't have iPads, they had TVs. And there was just something about California. And when I first got here, I was 13 going to Disneyland with my dad. As soon as I got off the airplane at 13, I took a deep breath of the air, looked at some palm trees and said, this is where I'm living. You know,
I personally live in Woketopia, and this past weekend, Miranda Alcaraz and Julian Alcaraz, the founders of the hugely successful Street Parking, had a huge party at Dave's ranch. God, man, Miranda and Julian are so impressive. But while I was there, I met a bunch of people, and they're from all over the world who came for that party, and they were like, "Oh shit." And they're like, what? And like, I always wondered why you stayed. Now I get it. I mean, California, you really can't, you know, you really can't explain this place. And for all the people all over the world, especially if you're outside the United States, you can't even imagine it. That's the weird thing. I get in these arguments with people in the DMs, you know, they're telling me how great it is in Denmark or the Netherlands or all of these, you know, these countries that, you know, I guess think that they have their shit together. I'm like, you are a country of 16,000 square miles. I'm a country of 3.2 million square miles, and I live on this fucking piece of land that sits on the Pacific Ocean, where the freedom here, you can't even fathom it. And I've spent a lot of time in those countries. And we also have the East Coast, which is weird. It's more like Europe. You know, the way the freeways are and the toll roads, it just doesn't feel free like the West.
Yeah.
The East Coast does. And yeah, it's going to be a really hard place. I don't think it's lost, by the way, not even close. I think that we're going to spin around.
I sure hope so. But I agree with you with the I've got friends who um, live here, and they get asked the question, "Hey, are you moving, doing that?" No. What about this? What about this? Or just no. You've got to dig in and fight for whatever you fight for at spiritual level, emotional, psychological, physical, or even in get into politics at the local level. But in terms of when I'd been traveled around the world as well, just like you, so some people might think it's arrogant to go, well, California's the best or America's the best, but you've traveled literally, way more than I have, and I've been all over the world. You can see, and every country has a cool little area.
Of course.
Yeah. But there's like California, you can, and just in terms of activity, you can go hiking, you can go skiing, you can go swimming.
Yeah, you and I could go skiing and surfing in the same day, no problem. No problem.
Yeah. So and then access to the world class stuff like that. But I mean, these are all like kind of like first world, hypotheticals, for people. But I'm with you on that, man. I dig it here.
I'm gonna go back to this other thing. I was thinking about how many doors we've opened just in that conversation. You said a line, my integrity is never for sale. This is tying back to you running a business. You said my integrity is never for sale. I didn't really know what the word integrity meant until my wife and Dave kind of schooled me on it over the last 10 years of my life. And for me, that I could look up the exact definition of integrity, but for me, integrity means just being honest. And when I mean honest about everything. You call me and we have a date to go. Our families have a date to go see a play or an orchestra. And I just end up calling you, hey, you know what? I just want to stay home and drink tonight. I don't tell you one of my kids is sick.
Right.
Like I just fucking tell you.
Right.
Honesty on that level. And that's what integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles and moral uprightness. It's doing the right thing. It's pulling into a parking spot. And even though the guy you got there before the guy, you can tell he's got a car full of 5 kids. You make the quick assessment and you're like, okay, and you back out and you're like, have a good day, brother. Just always kind of trying to do the right thing. Even small, tiny things. Yeah. Don't ignore trash that blows by you. Just grab it and throw it away. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
How do you run a business with integrity in a time when the entire not the entire world, I think the most of the world is looking for people with integrity, but we had a wave of psychosis come through here that I think is waning. That was like, hey, if you had integrity, you would be punished financially.
Yeah.
How did you survive that?
Because I think when you operate.
And if that's too vague, I can give you some examples, but you know what I mean? Okay.
Yeah. No, like if you operate from a place of integrity, you don't deviate. So
even for money though.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like money I mean money to put food on your table. I mean, shit was getting weird here for a year or so.
Yeah, no, it was, I actually almost lost everything when 2 weeks to flatten the curve became several months, and I canceled 35 courses, and most of my courses are contract and like big law enforcement, military, and nobody was training, and then nobody had money, and then it was defund the police, and I was like, it was scary, man. There was a day there where I thought somebody had shoved a vacuum up my ass and was sucking out my insides, and
like it felt that bad, just your life.
Oh no, I was like literally in my office with my head on my hands, like this, going, I'm gonna lose everything. I will not be able to take care of my family, because my business, we're a boutique, we're word of mouth, and we got 3 verticals in the company: our scenario training and our equipment, the whole SPEAR system for law enforcement and military.
What's the third one?
The third one is our PDR program, our how to teach our approach to behaviorally based self-defense to martial arts instructors and self-defense instructors. And like all of that stopped. Like everyone's afraid, everyone's wearing masks. But even my audience they were all like deployed, right? Nobody's doing any training, And then it was, again, the next era of defund the police. You're absolutely not doing any training. And it turned out that many of these agencies' leadership was compromised. They were woke. They were political. But this starts back. Like I didn't.
Hey, were they woke or did they just lack integrity? That's what I noticed. I noticed so many people around me just didn't have integrity.
Yes, that's a great observation. I think so. Have you?
And it's scary. It's scary. I'm not hating on them, by the way. I know it sounds like I am. I kind of am, but it's scary because you have, like you said, you have to feed your family.
That's the. Have you watched any of the what's his name? The KGB interviews?
Yes.
So like
I forget the guy's name too, but fascinating. You mean like he said he was predicted this to the T 40 years ago?
Yeah. So, but he's but you can see that it's been, and all these people from Trudeau to Build Back Better to, they're all speaking points and all the Yuri something or other.
Yes.
But
good job.
Yeah. So
Yuri Bezmenov. I cheated.
That's not cheating. That's good. It drive me crazy. Listen, I can remember in when I was a teenager, I worked in some restaurants and did other things, just trying to make some money. And I remember once getting maybe I was 17, 18 years old, out, driving with some friends and some late night diner, and the waitress had forgotten to charge us for like a pudding dessert, that was $1 or 75 cents at the time or whatever. And I was looking at the bill and I noticed that. And there's a moment where you go, oh, okay, wow, I don't have to pay. And then it was like, no, you have to pay. And then it was like, excuse me, yes, is there a problem with the bill? Yeah, you forgot to charge me for something. I mean, that's always how I've been. Like if it was a penny, that's just that's like, to me, that's a part of integrity too. It's just you know what the right thing is. And I've never deviated. And the times that I've maybe, and I'm just saying this because I don't have specifics, where maybe I said, well, maybe I'll tell myself a white lie. I'll do this. It consumed me. I had to fix it. It was always about doing the right thing. And integrity. But
my go ahead.
No.
My friend who's a Santa Cruz cop, Santa Cruz County Sheriff, stops a kid stealing 2 bottles of vodka from the store the other day. Kid says, "Hey, it's no big deal. This is a big corporation. It's just a few pennies to them."
Huh.
And I say this to a lot of people with all the arrogance I can muster, zero humility. I say this coming from pure self-confidence, pride, and arrogance. I say this to you. No matter how much you don't like me, no matter how much you don't like me or the things I say, if you had to leave your kids with someone, you would leave them with fucking me. And I'm going to explain to you why. Hi, Jesse. This kid who said it's only a few pennies to this corporation, would you want everyone to think like that? What would happen to society if everyone thought like that? Or do you want someone who says, yeah, it's only a few pennies and we all have to do our part? If you think like that kid, Elon Musk has all the money and can pay more taxes than anyone else, take it from him. It's only a few pennies you can steal from the corporations. If everyone thinks like that, we collapse as a fucking society.
100%.
If everyone thinks, hey, man, you can't steal, let's all do our part, every penny counts, we flourish as a society. So let's say we live in this world of just dichotomy. You may not like my stance on abortion. You might not like my stance on racism. You may not like but at the end of the day, your kids do better with me than with the person that's like goes out and buys all the pink dresses for their boys. They do. They just do. And so, but don't let your emotion cause this cognitive dissonance in you where you're not thinking straight, or you can make these fucking ridiculous exceptions like, hey, it's just a couple fucking pennies. Start contextualizing it and using relativity and using situational awareness. Use this massive brain you have to be like, how would the world be if everyone thought like that? We can't have that.
So Savan, how does all of that happen? So the one thing that all these kids who would say something as idiotic as that,
yeah, I would have said that too. Guilty.
Well, but so there's only two places that you learn that. One is your fucking woke schools.
Yeah, which is where I went. Yeah, which is where I went.
Right, or your bullshit parents. So when I raised
and fake compassion, fake kindness, those are not compassion and kindness.
But here's an interesting thing to think about is all of those people that have that, they all have I mean it's more than these two, but it starts with these two. They have fucked up parents or fucked up educators.
Yeah.
Because if you were fed the right way to think, and as I just wrote this in yesterday's newsletter, that the right way to think is always the right way. It's just often the hardest choice to make because we're just so fucking distracted. In the 80s when
or just give people the tools on how to think.
Critical thinking is
just keep defining words. Like we look up the word flinch.
Right.
Like just keep looking up what words mean. People want to keep asking me. Sorry, go ahead.
No, but this goes back to like to me, the deeper is a cool quote. When my son was born, I got custody of him like literally at like a month old. And that was a big, heavy, hard decision. And I got custody of him and I didn't know what I was doing. And I started studying and reading, and I found another one of those around the same decade that I shared that quote at the beginning. If you take your space in the world will make a place for you. I found a quote in a book while I'm trying to figure out how to be a good dad, how to parent, was some therapist said when he's working with kids, he says, I always like to meet the parents. It helps me forgive the children.
Ooh. Yeah.
Nice. So like when you talk about all of this, like when you say, why don't people just like learn, like look up words, learn? Well, who teaches a kid who doesn't understand learning how to learn? So it's some guardian, it's some, and it's like you teaching your boys everything they're exposed to. I've said this to Jess. I'm so interested to see what your boys end up doing as they get older, because they've been exposed to. I think I joked with you a couple of times in the past, like, would you adopt me? Like, I wish, my dad's not here right now, but he didn't do a fucking 100th of the stuff that you're doing, with your kids.
He was probably working his ass off though to put food on the table the only way he knew how, right? Like my parents.
Yeah, for 100%. I mean, but it's a choice, right? It's that in integrity, you make that choice. I've had lots of times where I could have and should have spent more time with the kids, but was working on other stuff. And, you somehow you pay the price for that in either relationship or guilt or what have you. But yeah, I mean,
Greg just called me a second ago, and I told him I was on a podcast with you, and this is what he texted me, by the way, about you. I hold Tony Blauer in the highest regards. He was introduced to me by the best operators I met in a couple of decades. He was support for fighting men around the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Sorry to give you a handy just here.
No.
Just out of nowhere.
It's nice to hear. You know what, man? I don't even think about it. So I'm 62 and I've been teaching for 43 years, since 1979, 1980. And I don't even think about it. I was out in Perth a few years ago and taking an Uber back to the hotel, and this driver says to me, "So what do you do?" And I'm leaving like this tier 1.
Perth is South Africa.
Perth, Australia.
Australia. Sorry.
That's all right. There's probably a Perth in Africa. I don't know. So and the guy says so this is a particular gate at this army base, and everyone knows like who's there and what it is. So he picks me up there and he goes, hey, when he hears my non-Australian accent, he goes, hey, what do you do? And I go, well, if I tell you, I got to kill you. You just picked me up, right? So we laugh. We laugh, and I go, but I don't want to kill you because you're driving and I got to get to the hotel. So I'll tell you when you drop me off and then I'll kill you. And we're joking around. And he goes, so what do you do? I said, well, I teach hand-to-hand combatives. And he goes, oh, he says, you must be good if they brought you overseas. I said, well, that's the rumor. And he goes, how long you been doing that? And at the time I go, I guess 39, 40 years. And he said, you've been doing that for 40 years? I go, yeah. He says, you never had another job? I go, no. He goes, most people don't have one job for 40 years. And it was, I'd never even thought about that. It blew my mind. We had the most amazing conversation. But I knew in the 70s, when I discovered martial arts and Bruce Lee and training, I was 15 years old. I'm sitting on the floor doing the splits, looking at Bruce Lee magazine or working on the splits. And my mom comes up to me and says, hey, have you thought about what you're going to focus on in school? Are you going to be a lawyer, a doctor, an astronaut, the veterinarian? What are there were only like 4 or 5 professions back in the 70s. And I looked up and I said, Mom, school is not going to be a big part of my life. I'm going to be a famous martial artist like Bruce Lee and teach.
You guys have to understand that when we were kids, I don't know if it's like this now because my kids, hold school with 0 value now, but there were no cell phones. There were no internet. You couldn't look up E = MC squared. You couldn't like today you could perform heart surgery on a fucking rare breed of horse from Iceland with a year's worth of study on the internet. Maybe a week's worth of study on the internet. Like it's all available to you. There was nothing available to us when Tony said that. His mom probably fucking wanted to kill herself and thought, what have I done wrong? It's the worst thing you could have ever said to your parents. I'm not going to school. Worst.
Right.
Worst.
And it was funny.
Like telling him you want to get a transition. Sorry, couldn't resist. Sorry.
It was interesting. I never even thought about that. But
by the way, I accept the transition, just not from a 12-year-old.
Right.
Wait till you're 32. When I asked my mom if I could get a nose job, she said, yeah, in your 20s, I'll pay for it. I asked her when I was 15. Same thing. Your kid asks you if you can have his penis removed. You say, yeah, no problem. Let everything develop fully first into a healthy human being. And then at 20, once you're kind of established in your 20s, we'll fucking get that cock chopped right off. Give you a vagina. Start doing it to them when they're 12. You're a fucking savage. You should be putting a rocket and shot to Pluto. I used to say I want to kill those people. My wife doesn't let me say that. So now you just get in a rocket and go to Pluto.
Yeah.
Hurting kids is unacceptable. Okay, sorry. So you tell your mom, 1972, hey, I'm not going to school.
Yeah.
Martial arts.
Yeah. And she literally pat me on the head and said, okay, dear, we'll talk about this when you're older.
Yes. Yes. If your son asks for a motorcycle, you say, absolutely. Just give me a few years. I'm going to save for it. Not yes, not no. You kick that motherfucker down the road. You let this kid process. Don't get when you stand up against evil, sometimes you just make it bigger, or things you don't like. It just gets bigger. Just chill. Tony was jumped for the first time at 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That was the same year I was born, 1972.
Nice.
It's coming out of my mom's vagina. You were getting fucking punched in the face.
Wow. What does the unfiltered mean that says on here? Does it mean you'll say things like without?
No, it means I drink lake water. I was I've talked I think I've had Tony on the CrossFit podcast once. I think I've had him on this podcast once. This is the 3rd time. I think I brought this up every show, but it is probably one of the most impactful things that Tony said to me, even though I can't remember. So I'm going to help him say it to me again. When I was a young man, I wasn't driving yet, and I think my sister was 16 and I was 12, and we were at a drive-through at Wendy's, and she accidentally hit the horn, and a guy got out of the car in front of us, and he was like a 45-year-old man, and he started spitting on the car and screaming at us, and this went on for like 5 or 10 minutes, and I just felt horrible that I couldn't get out of the car and do something to him. And I was telling Tony the story one time, and I can't remember exactly how you said it, but you said something about when you have altercations or interactions with people like that, it's important that you come out emotionally intact. Like, I can't remember exactly how you said it. I'm not going to say it right, but basically it doesn't matter whether you win or lose the fight. You want to leave knowing that you did the right thing, kind of. Do you remember what you told me? It really rocked me like for 10 or 15 years.
Wow.
After that happened, till I was in my 20s, you know?
Yeah.
I just felt like I let my sister down.
Yeah.
And I didn't. My sister didn't give a shit. My sister could beat me up then. She probably still can beat me up.
But it's nobody, I mean, you felt oppressed and you felt weak and you felt, and it's weird. It's oppressive. And that's why anybody who,
like, I don't want to get jumped ever and not know that I did the right. Like earlier when you were saying, you're saying people cover up. And when you watch that, sometimes you're like, dude, get up and run. Like there's 3 dudes jumping a guy and he's covered up on the ground. I'll be like, dude, get up and run. But you don't. And then that haunts you, right?
Well, it's you know, it's a weird thing. So also in the 80s is when I started doing scenarios as opposed to
Bruce Wayne, Sevon, that's the worst nose job ever. Ask for your money back. Okay, asshole. I didn't get it.
In the 80s, we started doing the scenario. So one of my, students gets jumped, and I realized in this moment, everything I taught him didn't work. And I was fucking furious. I make the joke that his loss hit me harder than the punch that dropped him.
Is this the Mitch kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, I trained this guy. How is it that he didn't even do one thing that I taught? And I realized what I was teaching him was how to spar, not how to defend himself in a street fight. And so we started doing scenarios, and we got really big in the immersion into
Isn't
scenarios.
that cool that you looked at yourself? You didn't blame him.
Right.
You looked at yourself.
And I was 20, man. It was like, I tell people it was like the god of self-defense hit me with a lightning bolt. It was literally life-changing. Well, it really, before there were Kickstarter programs, that's what kickstarted my system was, because I was teaching boxing and taekwondo and wrestling at the time, like a blend of mixed martial art, if you will. And but what I realized in that moment was real violent encounters don't happen inside a ring or on a mat, and that when you're in that situation, there's overwhelming distractions of fear and threat discrimination, a fancy word for like, how much danger am I in? Are we punching each other in the face? Does this guy have a knife or a gun? What's his buddy's going to do? And all of that stuff changes. The difference between the street and the ring, it's massive. That's one of my pet peeves and frustrations with the martial art world is just this assumption that your martial art is going to just manifest itself out in the real world, because there's so many things in the pre-fight element.
Right.
And if I said,
because everything's taught at step, and I've heard you talk about this extensively in podcasts. No one's talking about step 1 or maybe even step 2, situational awareness, and then the encounter. Everyone's already at step 3. It's on, right?
Yeah, we refer to that as timeline of violence, is understanding that's kind of like this mental blueprint of violence, and that when you do your 10,000 reps of how to get out of a headlock, right, you're eliminating all the dissonance, all the fear management, all the verbal, all the situational awareness, because it's like, hey, Savon, remember, head on a swivel, situational awareness. Okay, get me in a headlock, I'll show you this counter, and it jumps right to a physical move. So what you're actually, if you know the whole 10,000 hour theory or myth that Erickson did the research. Malcolm Gladwell made it famous in his book, and then who's that rap singer made it really famous? Mako, whatever fuck his name is. I just forgot his name. Sorry.
I don't even know. I just heard it from Gladwell's book.
Yeah. So it was based.
Why did you call it a myth? We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. Keep going.
Because there was some, because people just started talking about it as the 10,000 hour rule, or it became it wasn't exactly what the original researcher Erickson hypothesized about it. And it was taken from there. But I looked at it more globally and said, look, if you do anything 10,000 times, you're going to get fucking good at it. So it was this, how do I attain mastery? What did the Beatles do for 10,000 hours? What did this tennis player do for 10,000 hours? This skier. And so it was interesting, because how I use it, I go, if you do anything good, if you do anything for 10,000 reps or 10,000 hours or 10,000 days, if you're disciplined to do that, you're going to get really good at it. And so we've got a couple of maxims in our program. One of them, highly misunderstood: be careful what you practice. You might get really good at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
So people will hear that and they go, is he putting down jiu-jitsu? Is he putting down Thai boxing? Is he putting down Krav? And I go, no, you don't understand. Every time you do a dedicated, intelligent rep, you're training your neurons to fire, signal speed, myelinization of the neuron. It's all brain science. So if you're a boxer and I walk up to you and I go, hey man, I saw you staring at me from across the bar, the boxer's not ever going to think I should double leg this guy and then take his back. The boxer's thinking body shot, uppercut.
Yeah.
If you're a jiu-jitsu guy and I walk up to you and I go, hey man, I saw you staring at me from across the bar, the jiu-jitsu guy is never going to go, I should hit this guy with a fucking left right. He's going to think I'm going to double leg the guy. And so we create a dopamine and a neurological relationship, but I mean a dopamine relationship too, because when you do jiu-jitsu, you have fun. When you box, you have fun. You're gravitating towards. So you get this chemical relationship, right? To this is my favorite move. This is what I like to do. The danger when you talked about, you started to say step 1, step 2, and I said timeline of violence, is there's probably more times where, I'll insert this here. Hopefully I'm not all over the place, but every victim of violence that I've ever interviewed and studied in countless books I've read on violence stuff, every victim of violence who lived to tell the tale said they had a bad feeling. So the first pre-contact cue that there's something wrong is your second brain, your gut going, something's fucking off here. And if cognitive bias or cognitive dissonance or social conditioning or arrogance or you're drunk or blinders or fear prevent you from going, what's that feeling in my stomach? We call this the choose safety moment, like where, not to be confused with playing it safe, but how do I choose safety? What is the safest thing I could do here? The safest thing I could do here might be to fucking run or hide or barricade or just leave. But now let's go back to Gladwell and Erickson and the 10,000 reps. What if all you know about self-defense is a lapel grab, a counter to a punch, how to get out of a headlock, how to block a kick? In other words, most martial arts programs start with defending against the attack. So listen to this. If you've done 10,000 reps and I'll just use the headlock because everyone can visualize it. If you've done 10,000 reps of learning how to get out of a headlock, by default, you've done 10,001 reps of letting somebody attack you.
And then you kind of need to get in that position to start the game. You got to get in a weak position to start the game.
Neurologically, your brain doesn't understand the intercept.
Yeah. What about this as something similar? If you're a shooter and all you do is practice shooting, but you never practice unsheathing the gun. So basically, you're a level 10 shooter, but you're level 1 unsheathing the gun, and you get killed in the gunfight because you don't fucking got your fucking gun out.
Can all my shooters listening to this know that Savon has no fucking clue? Unsheathing your gun.
Yeah, unsheathing.
Yeah.
Unsheathing. It's got a sheath.
Wow. What do you?
What do you call unholstering? Sorry, I got my.
Draw your weapon. Get it out of the holster.
Yeah. I mean, so right. So if you have a gun and you always just go to the range and you're always just shooting.
I make that. We have a gunfighting course called Concealed Carry Combatives, and the hypothesis of it is like you're not walking around with your gun in your hand when shit kicks off. and you go flinch.
So I didn't just invent that. You had already thought of that.
Yeah, sorry. Well, no, I mean a different concept, but the idea is, yeah, just you and I are the only one that have ever said we should practice drawing our gun. We're the only two people in the world that thought of that. But you're right. Your gun is in its holster somewhere, concealed or on your hip or on your ankle or in a pouch. And if you don't practice getting that out in a high stress situation, that's the complex motor skill that could end up fucking you.
Or like in the movies you see, they have the fucking gun pointed at someone, and clearly the person who is pointing the gun doesn't have the fucking chutzpah to fucking fire it, and it gets taken from them.
Well, I mean, this is that other big part that I wanted to bring up in the 80s, doing the scenarios. I noticed that we would create these scenarios, and these well-trained people or people who'd gone through we do these 2-day, we used to call them panic attack seminars. And
ask your mom if I need practice. I'm drawing my weapon.
We would set up these scenarios, and we end up calling these seminars the panic attack seminars because people would fucking freak out. They wouldn't do their wrestling or their boxing or their Krav or their whatever. They were these open seminars. Would come in almost like a safer version of Fight Club. There'd be equipment that we would use so you didn't get wrecked. So what I started realizing is if people don't manage their fear, they're not going to manage to fight. Didn't guarantee victory or defeat, or didn't influence, but if you can't manage your fear, then you're not going to manage to fight, at least to tap into your potential.
I had that quote in here from one of your other podcasts.
Yeah, it's fascinating, but those are unique. I tell people this is kind of like a CrossFit-esque influence. They're like our 4 phases to managing violence. One is we need to have functional situational awareness. If we have functional situational awareness, we know what to look for. As soon as you realize you're in danger, I don't care how trained you are, your physiology will change. So there will be a fear spike. We need to have self-awareness to identify, Jesus, I just went from parasympathetic to sympathetic, right? I'm like, what's going on? Because those are always the pre-contact cues. Should I slip back into the crowd and kind of watch and scan, or should I have my hand on my gun here? Or should I get an improvised weapon in my hand? Like, what's going on? But while you're processing that, there's fear running through your body and there's psychological fear, but there's also the physiology of fear. Your instincts will do a whole bunch of things at a physiological, at a biochemical level. But then the psychological fear is kind of like it's the wild card. It's the missing link, even at the highest level of training, where the psychology of fear is your brain hijacking you. And I use that acronym, false expectations appearing real all the time. I've now created a movie in my mind about a future event that hasn't happened, that's debilitating or mobilizing me in the present. And I'm the producer, I'm the director, and I've cast myself as the victim in a fucking movie in my mind where I'm getting my ass kicked. And so the 4 stages are: I need functional situational awareness. I need to manage the fear spike. So it's fear. So we have fear spike, fear management, and then functional movement as the last one. So that's the shout out to CrossFit, is it's got to be a functional movement. And what is functional? It's going to be based on the scenario. Do you need to run here? Do you need to charge the threat? What is the safest thing that you can do here? And then when you figure out what that plan is, you need to deploy it. That's the ignition for that, is managing your fear. Fuck fear, face it, understand it, control it, know it.
I mean, you have very nice hands.
Thank you.
The ability for you to separate your pinky from your ring finger is kind of phenomenal.
It probably
it almost looks terrestrial, extraterrestrial.
It's probably no one's ever said. I realize now it's like that's the spear position, right? We push away danger and our fingers splay. And when you hit that finger splay position, you're actually recruiting more of the extensor chain. So you have more, not like that, no wrists.
I'm just playing with my fingers. Don't tell me what to do.
You make sure you got no wrist on that. So you're kind of like this, and that's probably maybe genetic.
That's how I run my business.
Okay.
I OnlyFans. Israel Adesanya said he had recently in an interview, that's the 185-pound champion in the UFC. He said, I want to go in the ring and show off. I'm my best when I'm showing off. And I guess in your language, that would be when he's not in a fear state. He's not in a fear state.
Right. But he said that before his last fight that a lot of people thought wasn't a very good performance, although he won.
True.
Right.
True.
And so, hey,
right.
look at my sign. The lighting changed. Right.
Yeah. Fuck fear.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to be careful. Words are icons, right? So we want to be careful with, like hitting that flow state and being in that flow state is cool. But we can get.
You didn't like that? So are you saying you didn't like that? His description of that I like to be showing off?
I don't, and this is just maybe I'm old school in my integrity. Again, it might be semantics. Like I like when my wife comes to the seminar because I show off for her, right? I'm funnier. I'm more energy. I want her to look at me and go, "That's my man." I want to have sex that night. Right?
Sure. Yep.
But I would never describe it as publicly. I wouldn't say I'm showing off. I would, and maybe it's just old school and semantics, but I go, like
she brings the best out of me.
You too. Like she's the muse, right?
Yes.
I do all this. I want her to go, wow, that was a really good post. Wow, you look good today. I don't want her to go, hey, are you still watching what you're eating and working out? Oh my God, I guess not. If you're asking me,
right.
And but I would never. It's semantics. I would never say.
Yeah, in traditional martial arts, showing off is not good. You're supposed to be humble, right? It's the school you're raised in.
Yeah, but like it's him saying, I want to feel like an artist, and my if I were like his manager, I go, hey dude, don't say show off, because it's not about being woke and saying the right thing. It's like, but let's be a little bit more metaphysical and esoteric here, and we want to hit that flow state. You're an artist, and your opponent's face and ribs are your canvas, and you want to paint on him, right?
Yeah. I mean, I like that,
because showing off always has a, what is the what's that biblical expression? The pride comes before the fall, or I forget it. I don't read the Bible, but there's this idea of gloating and pride and being prideful and flaunting it. Anyways, I just wouldn't. I didn't like. I heard that little quote too. It didn't turn me on.
I wonder if speaking of the Bible, I was wondering if
pride cometh before the fall, I think.
Oh, let me ask you this. How are you on time? I feel like your wife's over there telling you have to do something.
No, she came to say hi to you. Let me check. My next meeting is my next meeting.
It's 4th of July. You don't have any meetings. You're getting a handy and getting drunk today.
July 5th, dude.
Oh.
I'm good till for another 20 minutes.
Okay, good. I only have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Oh shit, I really am supposed to take the kids to the aquarium. Okay, listen to this one. There's this thing that Jewish parents and black parents tell their kids. And of course, I'm hugely, grossly stereotyping. I don't give a fuck. Don't ruin my story. Black parents will tell their kids the world's a really fucking hard place. People are going to be racist and prejudiced against you because you're black. And they tell their kids that when they're 5. And the Jew parents tell their kids the same thing. Everyone fucking hates a Jew. The world's going to be a horrible place for you. And those two, and I'm sure there's other people who get it too, right? I'm sure there's other ethnicities, races, religions that get that too. But I hear that from a ton of my Jew friends and a ton of my fucking melanated friends. And I just think, man, you are really fucking up. No one ever told me that, hey, man, you're going to struggle getting pussy because you're only going to be 5'5". I had to find it out on my own. I'm so much happier that I found it out on my own than someone had to paint that reality for me. No one told me, hey, Sevan, when you're 16, your nose is going to grow in, and everyone who thought you were cute is now going to be making fun of you for having a big nose. It was so much better for me not to be prepared for that.
Of course, man. That's the fear loop, dude.
Why the fuck are you telling your kids something? Because it's all made, at the end of the day, it's all made up. Because if I'm the only guy on the planet, or if everyone on the planet has bigger noses than me, then I'm the guy with the small nose.
Right.
And it's like, it's just you're feeding your kids this fucking narrative. Like, what's the difference between warning your kids about something and then as opposed to giving them a narrative that they have to carry with them the whole life as some sort of truth?
And then thoughts on that? But then you start looking for it. It's so
yeah. You start looking for it, exactly.
So in I'll give you a self-defense example. Everyone, when we teach, let's say like weapon protection, I'll ask the group, how many of you have been told by your martial art instructor in a knife fight expect to get cut? And every single one of them gets told that in a knife fight expect to get cut. Like I go, why I've been in 3 knife confrontations. I've never been cut. I've cut myself with knives. I've cut myself fucking around. I've cut myself
and shaving. You've cut yourself with 100 razors.
Right. But like I thought about that. I go, it's already scary enough. Why the fuck should I be more scared? This is great. And I just like right out of our seminar, and you'll appreciate this. I go, how many of you have kids? So like half the group has kids. If you take your kids to this like a swimming lesson, and the swimming instructor, you're sitting on the bench, and the swimming instructor says, I got it from here. He goes, listen, you're going to go swimming, expect to drown. But like you would immediately go, whoa, what did you just tell? That kid would be terrified of the water. Right.
Same with you would never tell a surfer expect to get bit by a shark.
Right. We think that on our own, right?
Yeah, right.
But I don't need there's already the fear and the risk there. And this is why the whole no fear program is the most important shit we do, because it's a way to look at fear from when you get the first physiological change, also the psychological change. What is my body telling me? What do I need to understand here? What do I need to learn? That's the research. That's the fuck fear. But 100%, we tell people erroneous beliefs. And this is stuff we started teaching everyone in the 80s, Savon, our whole cycle of behavior, the neural circuitry of fear. This is the fear loop. What erroneous belief are you carrying into this confrontation? Is it that size doesn't matter? Well, size fucking does matter. That's another martial art myth. Size fucking matters. That's why there's weight classes, right? But no, I agree with you. We regurgitate shit, and then that becomes self-fulfilling or incredibly distracting because it's another voice in your head that doesn't need to be there.
You're a good dude.
You too, man.
You've been on this podcast before. Do you remember? Don't lie.
Yeah. No, I was when you first.
Because I don't remember. I told my mom last night you were coming back on. She's like, he's been on before. I'm like, he has?
Huh. Yeah.
I'm 500 shows in. You're just another 2 hours to me, Tony.
I get it. And I noticed that you're all caps and I'm lowercase.
It's a little bit of a dominance I established. Christy Y, I can't tell you how much it was a pleasure meeting you this weekend, by the way. You're awesome. Thanks for coming up and say hi to me. I'm glad I got to hug you. You're a cool chick. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, buddy.
I feel like we got into a flow state a couple times. I feel like my gun was coming out of its sheath pretty smoothly a few times.
Yeah, your gun condom.
I had some other videos I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this one of two. I wanted to show you this one, but I'll show it to you now, and then we can talk about it the next time you're on.
Okay.
But I'll only have you on again if a lot of people text me and be like, "Hey, have this guy on again."
Okay.
I'm just about the numbers. But this, have you seen this video yet?
Oh no, it was just yesterday or something. It was released. It's there's audio, right?
Yeah.
You white lady! You white lady!
I'm as angry as you
Trying to
are.
get out of my face! Because I'm done with this conversation! You fucking colonizer! You fucking
He called her a colonizer. This is Portland.
me! It's on you and your people! I'm not.
Hey, dude, if that's my mom or my sister or something, I'm telling him, okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. If that's your mom, we'll listen for 15 seconds more, and then I want you to give that lady some advice.
I'm not taking any directions from a white lady.
Everyone needs to hear how angry you are, but it's not about this.
Everyone needs to hear how angry you are, but it's not about this, she said to him while he's yelling at her. She's a white colonizer. It looks like he just got out of that car, right?
Yeah. Do you know what's going on? What the context is?
No, I don't. In my mind, I just tell the story that it's two people. They had some sort of argument while they were driving. They both got out of the car, and he's telling her, "You white lady, you don't feel the pain of my people." And she's trying, like she read out of some like woke book. Just be present, be loving, listen to them.
But he's woke too, isn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah. The whole thing.
Like,
it's two people with mental illness having it out in the street. But if that's my mom or my sister, if that lady has kids, she hates her kids. If you're a mom, never put yourself in that situation. What are you doing? You got to get home and take care of kids for another 30 years. Well, if they're like me, they're going to stay at home till they're 34.
That shit's insane. I was in a restaurant the other night with Jess, sitting at a bar, and a woman sits down, and she turns over to me and she goes, and I go, "Hey, what's up?" She goes, "Notice that the bartender hasn't come over to take my order yet. It's because I'm a woman."
Yeah, that kind of shit.
Like, and I look at her and I go, he's over there talking to that table taking her. I think it's because he's busy, not because you're a woman.
Yeah.
And she just like went on insane.
And even if that was true, you have to ask yourself, and this isn't me, I've taken this from someone else. Who would you be without that thought? Would you be a better person without that thought?
But that's the critical thinking, which is like people are insane.
Yeah. You have to transcend that. It's okay to have that thought. Let it go. You have a choice. It doesn't have to be your reality. You don't have to. That's victim mindset. It's victim mindset. Hey, and you have no control over it. Do you know how many guys did talk to you because you're a woman and you got a pussy?
Right.
How about that?
Well, she hates men, obviously.
Hey, when you see oh man, I got to go to the aquarium. I can't do this. Okay.
Go take care of your kids.
I love you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
We got one here. Have Tony on again.
I know, but this chick doesn't count. This chick loves Ed. This chick is so fucking cool. She loves the show and she doesn't count. Yeah. She doesn't count. And she feels pressured because she's in the room with you right now to say something nice about you. She didn't count.
So one person wants me on again.
I'd give that a 0.3. That's a third of a person.
Okay. Thanks though. Appreciate it.
I will talk to you soon.